So with the new golden grin hides, Overkill have added a new character pack to the game, just like they do normally with the diamond or the bomb. And this time we've got a Russian hockey player called Sokol. And today we're looking at whether the Sokol DLC is worth the price of £3.99p. And to start off looking at this DLC, we'll first break it down into certain sections to show what this DLC has to offer. We have the following: Sokol's mask, Sokol himself of course, the Valkyrie rifle, the hockey stick melee weapon, and finally the grinder perk deck. And we'll start off with what I consider the least important parts of this DLC, which will first be Sokol's mask. Yes, it's a mask and it represents Sokol. It does its job, it looks alright. I'm probably not going to use it because I have a mask I use anyway. It's not really going to affect much because it's, like I said, a mask. And this is why I consider it the least important thing, because we get masks in every single DLC and some look good and some don't. It just depends on preference really. Next up is the hockey stick, and well, by now there's a lot of melee weapons in Payday. Some are good, some are gimmicky, some are just plain terrible, and this one, I don't know if I want to put it in gimmicky or terrible, because it's a hockey stick so it works with the theme of Sokol. However, it's not a good melee weapon and the melee animation is horrifying. The way he swings it, it just looks uncomfortable on the heister's wrist. It looks like you're snapping or cracking your wrist every time you swing it. That's all I can see when I use it. So I kind of avoid that weapon because it just makes me feel a bit queasy. Moving on from that horrible melee weapon is the rifle you get with Sokol, the Valkyrie rifle, and I gotta say, it's hands down probably one of the best rifles I've seen in the DLC. The damage itself is at 40 base, and it's got a built-in suppressor, so it's good for stealth and it's good for loud, which is surprising because normally a suppressor would give you a debuff, but with this gun it seems to be quite high. And with Silent Killer you can boost the damage up to around 50, which on Deathwish is pretty handy. The accuracy is high and the stability is good. So if you're very good with your shots, you don't have to worry about recoil as much. However, the only downside to it is the clip size, which is 20, but if you're good with your shots, you can make do. Or if you really need a bigger clip, you can just skill into Technician. Now let's move on to the man of the hour, who is Sokol. And to me, he looks like a young Houston, which I find quite amusing. But he has hair, and upon a closer look of the character you can see he has a lot of detail, like he has stubble from where he's just recently shaved and that kind of stuff. He looks really well done, so I'm not going to complain there. The voice actor did a pretty good job when portraying Sokol. It fits, it feels good, the voice acting isn't a bit cheesy, and well, compared to previous characters in the game, he's got his finished lines, so that's a good for when it launches. Because last time this happened with Dragon, I found that as a downside to it, and that is the downside if you launch a DLC without all the content there really. It's kind of disappointing when companies do that. But for the recent characters like Bonnie, Jacket and Sokol, they've actually had other lines there, so Overkill's kind of redeemed themselves with that one. And that keeps me happy really, so no complaints there. And last but not least, we get to talk about which I'd consider my favourite part of this DLC, which is the grinder perk deck. At first, from the description of this perk deck on the website, I didn't really think much of it. I thought, oh, it's going to be another one of those kind of perk decks which sounds good on paper, but in practice it's not that handy unless you have the spot on build for it. However, I was wrong with Grinder. It's actually a really good perk deck and it brings a new way to play the game. The way it works is every time you hurt an enemy you regen 19 health points at maximum every half a second for 4 seconds, and this can stack, and that sounds really overpowered, and it kind of is, but it's good. The only downside is you have to use either no armor or the lightweight ballistic vest, but even then you can have a lot of fun with it. Plus you can even go into a tiny bit of dodge with it. I don't, I have 0 dodge and I use whatever I want, but even then you can survive with it, and it makes the game, it works, a new way to play the game. It's a lot of fun, and it even works on Deathwish. I've actually started playing Deathwish War with people like Given and Protein purely because of this perk deck. It's just brought a new way to play the game and I absolutely love it. I'll be honest, it would be a complete shame if Overkill nerf it, but it could get to a point where they have to, because it is quite a powerful perk deck. But it does bring, instead of having armor or rogue, you have a third choice now, so you get a bit more of a mix up when it comes to what kind of build you want to go for. And by the end of the day, these are my opinions, and we go back to the first question of, is this pack worth £3.99p? Yes it is. It's probably one of my favourite DLCs to come out in a long time. I don't think, no, actually, the last time a good DLC, well, a DLC this good has come out in my opinion, would probably be the Diamond and Clover. And that's kind of saying something, because that's been quite a while now. So it's nice to see that Overkill's finally starting to pick up the pace with making good content again. There's nothing wrong with a Lesso. It's not like my preferred cup of tea for loud, but this pack, along with Golden Grin, has become one of the best DLCs to be released, in my opinion. But again, this is all my opinion. I'd love to see what you guys think, and make sure you like, and have a good day. I've been Crackerbob, thanks for listening.